vibes, or it's just like, "Rah," and they all pop out of the inside of the stomach, like, yeah, a bit of horror track. So I actually really enjoyed this episode. So most of the things that I've been saying about the series at the moment is sort of all bundled into one episode. But as we come, the Enterprise crew, they're coming face to face with their demons and also scary monsters too. So they're going to land on this barren planet and go check out this crash ship. So they obviously send the main crew out. We get a little bit of a ceremony right at the start. So we get to see a new guy, Duke, who unfortunately does not last very long, so he gets promoted. But what I really like to see is the whole mission briefing and everything, like as they're going along, all the crew members are throwing jokes together. So they actually really feel like a solid unit, all sort of meeting for all the missions. It was like they're just going about their daily tasks, like Spock's cooking and everyone else is kind of like just sitting around eating or drinking. I'm assuming they're having some coffee or some whatever, but they were pulling focus, so I really liked how they were building depth with them as well. So every time someone was jumping in, it would like pull focus, and it was a really cool shot, and everything was really stylish. But when they actually finally land on the planet and they go check out the ship, like that whole atmosphere is really building, and like it's actually got that tension and that sort of horror aspect sort of building for them, and it actually felt like the crew was in danger. Where before it was kind of like, even though it was the like monster of the day kind of episode, this was an awesome episode, and it really did capture that atmosphere and did play into some of those horror tropes as well. As they're coming up to the ship, like the whole frozen ice planet, you can see there's like some remains and some blood splatter. So we know we're coming into a little bit of an unknown hostile environment, and we feel like our crew's finally got that little bit of tension, a little bit of, you know, here we go, what are we going to do to survive? They're like exploring, like the music is a good fit, like it does slowly build as we're coming to those sort of, it wasn't really a jump scare, but when they finally have that interaction with the blue alien, I'm assuming that's not the Gorn, but he's like protecting the little girl. It was conveniently had like a lot of information. They were like, they don't like the cold, and like she didn't really play a major role into anything, but she was just kind of there and did give them the idea to, you know, like carbon freeze one of the Gorn and be able to finally like save everybody. But the blue alien was a cool interaction. I liked how they're like, now interpret it, how things works. But like he didn't really play much besides being one of the sort of egg sack sort of play much into it. He's more just an incubator for obviously the Gorn. But when they like started popping out, I did get those sort of like alien vibes, where it's just like, "Rah," and they all pop out of the inside of the stomach. Like it was cool. Like it wasn't overly unique in terms of how they presented those aliens, but I did like it. Like aliens is a well established, and they did have more of an aliens type of vibe, where they looked like a little bit more of a demon dog rather than the dinosaur original designs, because I did look up, thanks to everyone in the comments from last episode where they told me about the Gorn, so I did look them up. They looked much different to what they were originally portrayed as in the other series. But everyone is sort of like playing really well into their roles. Like obviously Nurse freaks out when she first experiences the Gorn. Like she's not just, you know, Rambo and like taking him on. She like hides in one of those force field protectors and isn't really combat trained to the point where she would be used to seeing the Gorn or the alien dog sort of things coming at her. Like I like to see how she was freaking out. Like, it was a nice touch. It wasn't just everyone's kind of, you know, Rambo and being able to deal with whatever they want. Hammer gets an emotional send-off. Like that was such a cool scene and shot. Like the cinematography of that, where the transition and the pullback, and just as he falls, was really cool to see. Like great cinematography, great camera work, and it did have that emotional impact that you're kind of looking for when you are sending off a character. And much wrong with this episode, but overall, like there are a few little points where it could have done it slightly better, but I know because they've shortened the season run and they might have part 2, but everyone is really forced for these character developments. Like it makes the plot a little bit chunky in terms of it's like forcing the character development at you. Like Lana, we get a little bit more of the reason why she hates the Gorn so much, but it was like really forced in there and it didn't really explore it, and it was just little bits here and there where if they actually had the full 24 episodes, they'd actually really be able to expand on all the character development. Gorn are like attracted by aggression. The screams are really forced, like it's to the point where they're comical, and they're just like screaming, and it didn't have the impact that they were looking for to be able to, show the aggression and show what the Gorn wanted to sort of come about, where I just kind of laughed at it rather than what they were going for. Poor Duke, he had like an introduction at the start where he made Lieutenant, and then he just died. It was like the first appearance and the last appearance. Like, it's just, you could have probably left it as just Hammer dying, but we had to have two others as well, where I know that would have built more tension for him, but just having one of the main characters die that he spent all that time with, that would have been enough to actually, rather than having those two others die. And at the funeral, there's three people at the funeral that they're having, but the focus and the dialogue was only around Hammer. I know he was more of a pivotal role in the crew, where the other two were just pop-ins here and there, but they could have just faded out to them talking in general about people, but we did get a little bit more of an emotional ride for Hammer. At times, there's just a little bit of a forced dialogue, a few cheesy lines which doesn't really fit into it. I know they've kept the cheesy lines throughout, but it's just a little bit off-putting in terms of there's an alien sort of bursting out your stomach, and you should be a little bit more worried about that, but I guess that does play into how they portrayed the characters this far. So yeah, this episode really has put in all the things that I've sort of been saying about what I wanted to see in the show. This was probably by far the best episode I've seen, and I really enjoyed it. I like the horror aspect. I like the dread and the atmosphere. It was awesome. I hope they finish real strong on the next episode as well. And yeah, let me know what you thought about it. And yeah, you know what to do. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends.